Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. I guess this is one of those videos that, I kind of dreamt of making, which is making a striker build in the Division 2 in New York City. If you look over there, you see her? Anyways, this striker build is not in any way min-max because there are so many directions that my mind is spinning to go with this entire build. And so what I intend on doing is actually just showing you guys what I've been able to put together and the direction that I feel like I will best be going with a build like this. Now, in terms of a striker build, for those of you who don't know, this is a gear set that came from the Division 1. 2 pieces gives you 15% weapon handling, 3 pieces gives you 15% rate of fire, and then the 4-piece bonus is what you want. You want the weapons, as Striker's Gamble. Weapon hits amplify total weapon damage by 0.5%, stacking up to 50 times. So multiply 0.5% by 50 stacks, and that's what you're going to pretty much be building in terms of that. And then 1 stack is lost each second. 3 stacks are lost every time you miss. So you want to keep firing and you want to fire accurately. But one of the really interesting things is that this weapon handling is going to be your very best friend. In fact, some people build around just this weapon handling because, as many people may say, well, we don't really use a lot of the stability metrics or a lot of the weapon handling metrics in our build. They do improve GPS. I said GPS. I'm sorry. They do improve DPS, which is damage per second, because the more shots you land, the more damage you're doing. It's one of those kind of simple things in essence. Now, there are weapons where, they are very accurate and very stable. You don't necessarily benefit too much from this. And that brings me into, the weapons that I'm going to be running as well with this build in terms of all that. But let's look at the entirety of all the pieces and then we'll jump into weapons in that order, okay? Now, the attributes that I have here on my mask are 12 and almost 12.5% weapon damage. I have a little bit more, and then I have some skill damage. I've not been able to find the fully maxed out skill damage mod on, I said attribute, sorry, on a mask. Once I do, this is definitely going to be taking 15%. This, I wish this was helping out with, like my healing in terms of that, like repair skills. I wish that's what I got here because I use the drone, the repair drone. That's one of the drones that I use. So it'd be nice to have something like that, or have maybe a little bit of health or armor or whatever. I don't really know what these masks roll with. This is the only mask that I own in terms of that. And then in terms of my backpack, I have a backpack that does have 14.1% weapon damage. I think the max is 15, and I'm still yet to find a 15% one, but this is what I have currently. And then I have, 13,000 health, which, honestly, I play very differently. So health and all that, I kind of know that I'm not really too stoked about where my health is right now with this current build. If I was maybe building a striker clutch type hybrid, then I'll probably worry, but you'd have to not use a backpack in that case, if you get what I mean. And then I have 5.2% critical hit chance. Not that it really even matters for this build because, like I said, the build is not yet spec'd to where I want it to be. It's right now just based on a lot of weapon damage the way I've actually spec'd it. And I'll show you my holster, which also has 12.9% weapon damage, and then this has weapon handling. I would rather this be headshot in terms of headshot damage, because that's also something that can be rolled on a holster, but I was only able to get the one with weapon damage, and I'm thankful that I got it because even the blueprints, I haven't even been able to lay my hands on any of them. I've been playing those level 4 control points and nothing yet. And then my knee pads, I was able to get the max roll, 15% weapon damage, and then 2.3% crit chance. Now, I didn't mention something in regard to there was a stat that I had here that showed. Okay, yeah, in terms of that, weapon handling, yeah, I don't want that. I would rather something else. Okay, that's what I wanted to say. Now, let's look at the other individual pieces because these 2 pieces do make a lot of sense for my build. I have a pair of contractor gloves here. They're Petrov gloves, and they have 2 perfectly rolled attributes. This is what they call max rolled items in the Division game, for those of you who may be new watching this. And I cannot remember where I got this. I think it just, oh yeah, I bought it. They were selling it in New York, yes. The clan vendor, I think, is selling it right now. So if you're watching this video, jump in there and get yourself one of this. I think I used it to roll weapon handling onto my library, and I have it. And Petrov One Piece gives you 10% LMG damage, which is pretty nice. So my LMG is going to be shredding a lot. If you notice how much damage I've actually stacked up on the other pieces, then you'll kind of know where this is going. And then I also have 11% damage to armor, and then this gives me 14% weapon handling. So my weapon shoots like a laser. And then to my chest piece, I have a 0F's chest piece, which gives me 10% shotgun damage. I've been wanting to, try this out with also using a shotgun, but I don't have a, what's the name of the automatic shotgun? I can't remember the name. It had a different name in the Division 1, and in the Division 2 has a different name, so I keep forgetting it. If I remember, I'll put the name in post-production. But it's an automatic shotgun, and it's one of the best to use for Striker because it actually stacks. And so that's what I'm going to run once I get one to drop for me. I think I saw one at a vendor, but I didn't really like what I saw on there in terms of its rolls. So that's the direction that I'm going with that. Now, in terms of this, I'm going to go and roll the max armor here. In terms of crit damage and crit, I have 18% crit damage. It's weird. The thing rolled crit damage and crit damage. Well, no, that's the mod. I have a mod, sorry, that's 10.9% crit damage. And so I think that probably works in my case. I'm not trying to max out this attribute here to have more crit damage. If anything, I'll probably prefer it to be some kind of other thing in regard to maybe I don't know, health or whatever, something else, skill repair, or status effects, if you understand what I mean. Because the crit damage right now, my build is not designated to crit damage, and that's why I have that preference. And so that's what I'll do with this chest piece. But one of the really cool things about the 0Fs is it gives you perfectly unbreakable. When your armor is depleted, you repair 100% of your armor, and it does have a 55-second cooldown, unlike the unbreakable itself, which I think has a 60% cooldown and gives you, I think, only less armor repair in terms of that. Now, to my main weapon. My main weapon is this new LMG called the IWI Negev, or whatever you call it. I don't even know what you even call this weapon, but it's an LMG. In fact, in my opinion, it's actually one of the best LMGs in the game right now. The LMG fires very fast. I think it fires faster or just as fast as the MG5, and it has 100 rounds in it. And this particular one that I have came with 13% LMG damage, 9% damage to targets out of cover, and 9% headshot damage. So I'm always prioritizing headshots because I have Reformation as the talent, which gives me 30% skill repair for 8 seconds, which is really nice for me to have in terms of my skills and all that. Now I could roll a different talent on here. There's breadbasket. There are all kinds of, did I say breadbasket? Sorry, I meant Ranger, and all that good stuff that I could use because I have another assault rifle that uses Ranger as well, which amplifies your weapon damage by 2% for every 5 meters you're away from your target. I could use that. There are all kinds of fun talents, but I think I prefer using Reformation to help with my skills because I have very limited cooldown, and so I want things that augment my skills, that help me with my skills being more effective in terms of my damage. Another really interesting thing too is when you're using a weapon like this, your RPM is really high and you're able to build up stacks very fast. And if you lose your stacks, you're able to build them up very fast again. And because of your speed in terms of your rate of fire, you're going to be dealing more DPS. And then this weapon, with having 100 mags, I also have the 35 round pouch. If I switch to the gunner specialization, I can also get the 50 round pouch as well, which also grants more damage. If I wanted to do a crit build, then I'll be prioritizing this at 10% critical hit damage, which is just a free 10% crit damage. And then if I was using a specialization to maybe want to amplify that, then I'll go and use the firewall to get another 10% critical hit damage. And then I'll use another brand set to get more crit chance. I think the one that really does a good job is this one over here. Cheska Vroba is the one that gives you crit chance right off the bat. And then there's another brand set that does that. And this is pretty much the dream striker build that I had, that I wanted to make first. Something that just had pure weapon damage, and then I'll be building on as I'm going and improving my library. And I wanted to show it to you guys. It's not the best striker build out there, but I'm enjoying it. And just the fact that I'm playing a striker build in Tom Clancy's The Division 2 is already a very funny thing to laugh at, because I made a lot of videos talking about how these gear sets will be somewhat of a very fun play of things if they were to reintroduce them back into the game. And here we are. I can't believe I'm making the video, it's so surreal. And so that's really cool in terms of all of this. I hope this build kind of like gives you an idea on how you wish to build. I know no one is going to build the same build. No one's going to have the same stats as I do. Many people, if anything, will have better items than I actually do. But then there's also one final tidbit that I want to drop in this video before I actually leave, and that is the discovery of this named weapon called the Quiet Roar. This is the named Stoner LAMG. This weapon has 200 rounds base in the magazine, and I can add an extra 35 or an extra 50 rounds to this. This one comes in an extra 11% weapon damage, even though the weapon damage is much lower than this, IWI weapon or whatever you call it in terms of base damage. Just the amount of sustained DPS that you have coming from this magazine makes it, in my opinion, very good for Striker in terms of that. Now, this one also has the perfect version of the Overwhelm talent, which comes with the Stoner LAMG, which says suppressing an enemy gives you 12% weapon damage for 12 seconds and has a max stack of about 4. So this is actually really good in terms of using this. I'll make a separate video talking about this weapon once I run it on this build, and I'm going to tell you guys what I think about all of that. So video is already past 10 minutes, and I want to just keep it as short as I possibly can. But, it's one of the exciting things that, happens when you're making a video like this, is it's very difficult to not go into too much detail. I know many of you may have also seen, this police M4 as well, but I'm not necessarily prioritizing it. I just kind of was testing out a rapid fire weapon. That way I can probably run a Fenris chest piece that also has Unbreakable. I mean, it doesn't have to be that. Or if I wanted to do a crit version, I just found a Fenris chest piece that does have Obliterate. It has some crit chance. I think the max crit chance you can get on the chest piece is about 6%. So 3.7 to 6% isn't that bad, but I do have max crit damage, so I can just go full on weapon damage, add some more crit chance in terms of using an offensive mod slot, and then build a crit chance Striker build that will go with that. So there are many iterations. I just wanted to make mine an LMG based one because I felt like this weapon really does fit my playstyle and all that good stuff. So thank you very much for watching the video. I appreciate you guys' time and audience. If you enjoyed the video, leave a comment in the comment section. And for those of you who haven't subscribed, feel free to hit the subscribe button. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.